Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Peach State Power Hour. I'm your host, Reno. Alongside me, co-host Andy Stowe, Eddie from Acworth. Gentlemen, it's a wonderful Sunday evening, the last Sunday evening of the, quote, off-season. We got college football at the end of this coming week. I can't be more excited to say that. I couldn't be. I know it's week 0, but still, it's just like, hey, there's going to be college football on my TV on Saturday.
And not to mention Iowa State, who's 22nd or at Kansas State, the 17th ranked team. So it's a big game starting out. I mean, no, it's awesome getting back into college football. The Braves are, still sort of doing something around. So they're keeping our interest up. But
Andy's hanging on to the thread.
I'm hanging on just a little bit, but no, it's good. Football's back, and it's time to get it going. So.
Well, I'm excited about this show, Harrison. We got a lot to talk about, but I do want to say at the it's the bottom of the hour, that next week we have our good friend Paul Meharry coming on, and we got a lot to kick around. And he was our former co-host, and we're going to talk about how much better Harrison is as a host now.
Clearly.
And two, he and I have already had a disagreement. So, Harrison, you're going to see fireworks like you've never seen before. And I would encourage the listeners, all of y'all watching, to please come on, and we're going to chop it up. And Andy's going to sit there and play, the sideline reporter, and Harrison's just going to be totally silent, going, "What the hell's going on?" It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep, I'm going to be the kid with the camera, holding the camera, just watching the beatdown.
Yep.
And I'm just going to agree with both of those guys. I'm not going to be.
That's exactly what Andy's going to do. Sweden, right? Isn't that what we call you?
That's correct. So.
Hey, we might even have our good friend Paul just kick off the show for old time's sake. Yeah, couldn't be more excited. He was on our list of guys we wanted to hop on the show. We still have quite a lengthy list in terms of people we want to get on here and chop it up with over here on the Peach State Power Hour. But gentlemen, we got a loaded show, a lot to get through. I think we have 5 segments tonight, which usually is about 4. So we got a lot to get through in a rather short amount of time. So let's hop right into it. Georgia had its second scrimmage. I want to say probably its final scrimmage, because I don't think that – is it 3 scrimmages? I should know this. But there's this is the most important one, I would say, because it's obviously you have all the corrections from the first one. But this is hey, at the end of the scrimmage, we turned the page from camp into, hey, now it's game week. We got to start preparing.
Yeah. It's
just regular practice now from here on out. Pretty important scrimmage. The dog vent, UGAsports.com had a ton of notes, of which we will not, I guess, dive deep into. You got to go subscribe over there. Right. You can get a dog vent subscription for $1 right now. You can also get complimentary access to The Athletic. It's never been better to be a Georgia fan. It's never been better to be a Dog Vent subscriber. You can go and join Eddie from Acworth and Andy Stowe over there on the Dog Vent. But gentlemen, let's start with our general takeaways of the scrimmage, just from everything that's out there in the public stratosphere. I think my biggest one, off rip, is just the amount of new names that we're hearing popping up.
Yeah.
You talk about a CJ Wiley. You talk about a Noah Thomas. A lot of new names, new faces to this Georgia team are coming in here and are making an impact early, at least on the practice field.
Mm-hmm. The offensive line, you hear all of these, and true freshmen, redshirt freshmen, guys that have never played, and you're like, wait a minute, is this a good thing or is this a bad thing? And Jeff Dantzler always says you only want freshmen to play if they are a luxury, not a necessity. And it sounds like the guys that are being, looking really good. And, like a lot of talk about Juan Gaston. That's what, for the last 3 weeks, it's been Juan Gaston. Sounds like he's a luxury and not a necessity. So that's what I'm excited about. Got to get that offensive line squared away. And if those young guys are good enough to do it, put them in there.
Yeah, and there's not a scrimmage next week, Harrison. I mean, they're done. They're pretty much going into preparation for game week a little bit this week, and it'll be full on next week, obviously. But what I loved about this, the way this set up, and this is, in my opinion, perfect for Kirby Smart. The first scrimmage was dominated by the defense, right? The offense really couldn't get much going, blah, blah, blah. So he talked all week to the offense. And what happened, we heard on Saturday, the offense dominated. So this is perfect for Kirby Smart, right? This is exactly what he wants, to see one side of the ball dominate one week, the other side of the ball dominate the next. He's got plenty to talk about, plenty to throw around for the next 2 weeks to get them out there and to play serious football. And they're flying around, and they're making plays. And like you said, these young kids with this fire, passion, and energy that Kirby keeps talking about, we keep hearing more and more and more. And you say, it's funny you say that, Harrison. I was thinking about this. You say it's a luxury. You said that, right, Harrison? I'm sorry, Andy said that.
It was Andy.
The answer talks about a freshman being a luxury. But if the freshmen are this good and they're this impactful, Kirby's going to put them on the field and find a way to get these guys in. I mean, we've heard about C.J. Wiley is making all kinds of circus catches and doing all kinds of things. That guy's going to get on the full field.
And
right?
Bo Walker in the backfield. He's a name.
Bo Walker, there you go, another one. And you mentioned Juan Gaston. I mean, he may be the starting right guard. We don't know, but just to see these young kids coming in, and at first, I told you guys last week it was kind of a concern. But the more I hear about it, the more it's not a concern. These guys are that good.
And now in this day and age with NIL, with the transfer portal, you really can't let these guys sit. 3 years ago, we had 5-stars sitting for 2 years or whatever. And now if those guys sit for 3 games, they're going to transfer out. So if they're good enough, they're going to have to play. And, Harrison, I'll throw this to you, I don't think that's a shot to the guys that have been here. I think it's just these guys are really good. I mean, like these young guys are just coming ready to play ball.
Yeah. I mean, I know we talked about joining us over on the Vent. Vent legend, Bulldog Bob, certainly had some good things to say about this freshman class. Go over there and check that out. Look over here, Eddie. Andy's not even all caught up on the Vent and the latest event.
I didn't know that.
He was behind. He was cutting grass. He was busy.
Yeah, I got
Andy. Well, I suggest
that. That's a terrible tan. That's not even a tan. I don't know what that is.
It's a burn. That's what it is. So.
Yeah, go check out Bulldog Bob's post. Andy, we'll have some time to do that. But yeah, we won't touch on that. We'll let people go find their way over there to go check that out. But yeah, it is crazy to think about how many freshmen that they're rostering out so far, and it comes at a time where Georgia needs some freshmen to come in here and be immediate impact players. Like you look over the last few years, there's always been maybe 1 or 2 that go in there and play significant roles from day one. KJ Bolden was an example. Malachi Starks was an example. I mean, before him, as early as Trayvon Walker was a guy that went on and played early snaps. N'Kobe Dean, Lewis Seen. Like, it's always been 1 or 2. But this year, with this roster, with what we've been hearing, it sounds like you could have 3 or 4, which sounds like a lot. People may take that as a red flag. Yes, great shout by Frothy. Michael Williams was one of those. Absolutely.
And Andrew Thomas.
Carter.
Andrew Thomas was a freak from the day he stepped foot on campus. I mean,
here we go, boys. Can y'all remember the last offensive lineman to start as a true freshman at Georgia?
Was it not Andrew?
Game 1? Trying to trick you. There you go. I was trying to throw in a trick question. Like, Georgia needs it this year, just in terms of, because as they've talked about, Kirby Smart called it the deterioration of football in terms of the time to get these players developed and ready to play is shortening. Yeah. Instead of having 2 or 3 years, you really have 1. And that's the big thing right now. Georgia has a lot of, first and second year players, and it's too deep now. They need to get those guys ready.
Yeah.
And if your second year players aren't ready to go, well, hey, you got a freshman coming in behind you that is hungry and ready to compete, that might be ready to go.
Yeah, and like I said, with the portal, those guys, they see somewhere else. They're like, hey, I'm not playing the first game. I'll go portal somewhere else, because everyone's calling everybody and throwing out money. So it's just a new time. Like, everything's different. It's super teams are not going to happen anymore. The 2021 super team Georgia Bulldog, the 2019 LSU Tigers, those super teams aren't happening anymore. It's just impossible because of the transfer portal. But luckily, it looks like Kirby's figuring it out, and that's the good thing. As long as you have a set parameter, Kirby's going to figure it out, and he's going to be as good as anyone at it.
Well, and Andy, and real quick, before we kick it over to Eddie, I wanted to add this in to kind of go off Andy's point. Not only are there super teams going to be less and less over these years, but we're in like the last year. I think this might be it for COVID seniors. I don't think Georgia has a single COVID senior on its roster this year. Xavier Truss was the last one.
Yeah.
And that's another big change is you don't have a 6-7 year guy on your roster who's been there and done that. He might not be the greatest player on your team, but he's been there.
Stetson Bennett is 27 years old. I was just looking up his game, from when he had such a great game, but it was like 27 years old. I was like, wow, I cannot believe Stetson is 27. He was just on the roster 2 years ago. It's wild. So it's crazy. So,
and he's only in year 3 in the league.
I know that's what's nuts. But he looks good.
And the first year was a throwaway, right? That didn't even count.
Yeah. So.
Well, I mean, it. Go ahead, read those if you want to.
Yeah. My bad. Real quick, and then we'll push it right back over to Eddie. I'm sorry to keep you waiting.
No problem.
Charles asks, is Ernest Green healthy, and will he be reliable? Because last season he couldn't block a bus 2 yards away. All indications right now, Ernest Green is healthy. Last year, I believe it was a shoulder injury, and I believe he had one other nagging injury that bothered him throughout the season. It might have been an arm injury. I know he was also injured in the spring. I think it was his hand. He had a club in his hand, and he played in that game. Here's the one thing you can't say about Ernest Green. You can't say he's not tough. That guy wants to compete, and he will always try and compete. And that's the one thing you got to give it to him. If he's healthy, I expect him to get back to doing what he did his first year as a starter, which he was an all-SEC player, guys. Mm-hmm. He was one of the star guys on that offensive line in 2023, and a lot of people had high expectations going into this past season, which is why everyone's so upset with how it turned out.
Yep. Yeah, he came in with high hopes, so that's the thing. It's time for him. I mean, like you were saying, it is kind of time to be that 5-star elite tackle. So,
well, what I loved about Ernest Green, since you're talking about him, is watching his interview this past week. I guess it was Thursday, and he basically threw out the mantra: "It's 4th and 1 at Georgia." I literally got goosebumps when he said that. What a great thing to say, because that encapsulates everything that was wrong with this program last year. Was we couldn't get the short yardage when we needed to. We couldn't beat Texas when we intercepted the ball with 3 minutes left and we were up by 3. That game should have been over. And we couldn't run the ball and we had to punt it back to them and they tied it up. That's a perfect thing. 4th and 1, get those yards. But it's amazing to me how Kirby's working through these issues. And I'll just go back to the safety issue. Issue's the wrong word. The safety competition, right? Between Ja'Cory Thomas and Adrian Maddox. So you got Ja'Cory Thomas. What is he in his 4th year? And he was a highly recruited kid out of college. Yeah. And he may not even be the starter across from KJ Bolden, right? It may be Adrian Maddox from everything we're hearing. So how do you keep a kid like that happy going into next year? Well, I know he's not going to be here, but you know what I'm saying? Keep a kid like that, his head in the game, mentally, all that kind of stuff. Well, Kirby's going to rotate these guys. That's a tough challenge for him. And that kind of leads me into what I want to ask you guys about, is the rotation we're hearing about with Gunnar Stockton in the scrimmage. Okay, we heard he played pretty well, but Ryan Puglisi basically got the same amount of snaps with the ones as Gunnar did. So I want to pose this to you guys. I'll start with you, Harrison. Is that a concern, or is that a good thing with this quarterback room? What happened there?
To me, and I don't know where Andy's going to go with this, but to me, I think that's a good thing. And if not, for the only reason being, as Aaron Murray said on last week's show, they got to get Ryan ready. They don't have a quarterback on the roster outside of Gunnar that has played.
Can I interrupt you right here? Because I knew you were going to say that, and I just want to push back on you. So why wasn't that done with Gunnar Stockton last year with Carson Beck?
I'll tell you why. Because we were so close. We were close in every game. Like, that's the thing. We couldn't pull away from teams. So there was
I'm talking about in fall camp. I'm not talking about during the season. I'm talking about in fall camp, because this is where we are now. And I'm not knocking what you're saying, Harrison, but I knew you were going to say that, and I wanted to ask you what you thought about that. Why is it different now versus Carson Beck last year?
It's definitely an interesting question. And to me, I think the only difference between the situations would be that going into what last year was, year 3 for Gunnar? Year 3 or year 2?
Yes, last year was year 3. This is year 4.
Yeah,
that's right.
Okay. In his 2 years before that, he had gotten garbage time in a game. He had gotten snaps. He had gotten reps. It's probably not up to the level that Georgia had wanted and say, oh, we're confident in this guy. But then you can compare it to where Pug is going into year 2. Pug hasn't even touched the field at Georgia.
No.
Not once. Yeah. So I think that's why there's a difference. And I think Georgia kind of learned from last year, hey, we got to have a quarterback get ready to go, because you never know when those injuries are going to strike. And when you go back to last season, it's funny. Well, not funny, but it's weird how things work. I think it was 3 weeks in a row, maybe 4, because I think it happened in the Tennessee game. Carson got hit on that same play that he injured his elbow in the SEC championship the week before against Georgia Tech. I think it happened again versus Tennessee. Like, if there was a foreshadowing of what was to come, it was he was suffering those same hits.
Yeah.
And Georgia got lucky the first few times. And then obviously the SEC championship happened, and we all know how that turned out. But I guess to answer your point, Eddie, I think they know that they don't have somebody ready to go. And I think maybe they were more confident with where Gunner was going into last year than they are with Pug, because Pug hasn't seen the field at Georgia. But I don't know. That's just me taking a gander here. I think, and Eddie, I know this isn't the point Eddie's trying to make, but I know there will be others that take it another way. This is not saying that Georgia doesn't have confidence in Gunner Stockton. Quite the opposite. This is, hey, in my opinion, this is, hey, we're trying to get Pug ready to go in the event that Gunner gets his head taken off again.
I think
that's what I was going to say when I kick it over to Andy. Do you think it just basically boils down to, we know Gunner's going to run the ball more than Carson Beck did. We got to prepare for that because he may get his head knocked off like he did against Texas, and we got to have a guy ready. Andy?
Yeah. I think it's they're showing the confidence that they have in Gunner, that they feel that he's prepared and he's ready to go. And like Harrison was saying, he ran scout team for the past 2 years or whatever, so he was going up against Georgia's defense, every week. So it's just a lot more experience. But I think they're confident in Gunner. I think they just want to make sure someone is there. And I guess we've been seeing that Ryan Montgomery's playing a lot. He's getting some a lot of practice. So I think they're trying to make sure. An injury away, you got to have somebody ready. So you never know.
Good point here from M. Charles. Hopefully Gunner has been working on his slide and does take big hits like that against Texas. And I think that's what Aaron said. Aaron said last week, his biggest concern with Gunner was his competitiveness. And it's because he doesn't want to get down for those hits. It showed up in that Texas game. I mean, heck, he took a shot, quite a shot. Now he took quite a shot versus Notre Dame. Now, this wasn't because he was running. It was because he had to stand in there in the thick of things and throw. It was on that deep ball to Aaron Smith, the completed one, where obviously we had the incident with there was the incident with the referee and getting run into. He took quite the shot from the defensive line. I mean, Gunner got that ball out, and then he was in the dirt. And it was a big shot. Now, that's one of those things where it's like, hey, you got to stand in there as a quarterback, and you got to eat it. You're just going to have to eat it. You got to get that ball out, and you're going to have to eat it. But it's shots like those that we know over time, those can build up and those can cause injuries.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
One more thing before we move on from this. Do you guys think maybe it's a good thing that this happened in the scrimmage on Saturday? That while Gunner, yes, we all know Kirby has not said who the starter is. He's not going to do that. But maybe this puts in Gunner's head a little bit, hey, I got some serious competition breathing right on my heels. I better be on the top of my game. Whereas Carson Beck really did not have that the past 2 years.
Yeah, I think competition is a great thing. I don't think you want anyone to get comfortable. Yeah, I think you want to make sure they know if you slack off a little bit, if you maybe take a trip down to say Miami to visit your girlfriend, the other guy may be playing. So yeah, I think it's a good thing.
I think another part of this that just pops in my head when we talk about the scenario, like talk about Puglisi playing the same number of snaps, is maybe there's a factor of Georgia feels comfortable with what it had seen from Gunner, and they were comfortable not having to give him all those extra reps.
Yeah.
Instead, they feel so good that, which, hey, that would be awesome. Like if we knew that concrete and, hey, this is why this happened, I don't think there'd be a Georgia fan in the world that is like, okay, like, I'm so worried about Gunner. Now, obviously, that's not true because we know even when you have a national championship winning quarterback, there's going to be Georgia fans that are still upset about the guy. But I think there's so many scenarios here. Yeah. I mean, we're just over here teasing one of the final segments on today's show. Guys, like Eddie's mic. Good evening, guys. Yeah, there we go. Good evening to you, Chet Summers. Guys, let's shift gears. We talked Gunner. We talked briefly. We'll touch on the offensive line. Let's talk receivers. And I think this was my first episode on the show. Was I came out here and said, I'm concerned about receivers until I'm not. Like, I have to see it. And there's part of me in the back of my mind, with each passing update, I'm like, okay, is this finally the year that Georgia has absolute 100% difference makers at the position? Right now, it sounds really good. Like, you're talking
Yes.
you're looking at a room, and I don't know what everyone's expectations were heading into January after the Notre Dame game in terms of what that receiver room is going to turnover look like. Your number one guy, one of your top guys, probably your number 2 option, Dylan Bell, is now in a room where he's probably the 4th or 5th option.
Yeah, that's
Because
crazy.
you brought in a Zachariah Branch. You bring back a Colby Young. You bring in a Noah Thomas. You bring in all these guys, and then you bring in the freshman class that is the highest rated freshman recruiting class Georgia's had at receivers under Kirby Smart.
Yeah.
And now you're looking at that room and you're like, they got some depth. They really have some depth. And so far, it seems like they're making plays in this scrimmage.
And Talon Taylor's a name that keeps popping up. And that's the thing. These guys, it seems like they could be 6 deep of playmakers, not just 6 deep of guys that can play, but playmakers. If Noah Thomas, if he is as advertised, all the love he's been getting and every week you see something about how he's doing this in practice or doing this in a scrimmage. Noah Thomas may be, I don't know, Ladd's a different guy, but he was elite. Brock's a different guy, but he was elite. Could Noah Thomas be George Pickens? Could he be that good? I mean, there's a lot of talk about how big, how fast, and how good he can catch the ball. So I'm excited. And that's one of with those guys, all the options you have, that's why I'm confident in Gunner, because I think he's going to have the playmakers that he can throw it up. And it may not be a perfect pass, but they can go up and get it.
And it feels like the supporting cast is much better around him.
Yeah, it is. And what's amazing is that you brought all that up. You didn't even mention the tight end room, and that's part of the pass catching group, right? I mean, if Kirby feels comfortable playing a 12 personnel, I'll even go to a 14 personnel. He could very well do that, right? With these, I mean, it's silly to phrase it that way, but you know what I'm saying, those tight ends on the field, because Jaden Riddell is apparently having a fantastic camp, and he's 3rd on the depth chart for the tight ends, right? That doesn't even talk about Ethan Barbour, who's playing really well. Ellis Williams is an absolute monster. So it's just loaded. There's so many options, and that's what I love, because last year we were stuck in this mode where Aaron Smith is the guy. Now, he was great, speedster and all that. He dropped a pass. Guess what? He went right back in and played again. If you had that happen this year, let's just say, I'm going to throw a name out there. It doesn't matter. I'll just say Dylan Bell. He drops a couple in a row. Kirby will yank him and put somebody else in there now because he's got confidence in these guys. He knows, hey, you're going to sit for a little while. You can even think about your drops, and we got somebody who can come in here and catch a damn ball. And I think that's an amazing thing to have this year. The depth and the talent in the pass catching room is just astounding.
Now let's address this. Austin Wilson says everyone thinks they're winning in the Natty in fall camp. LOL. Got a seat on the field against someone else. And Austin, that's not us. That is not us. I know that.
We haven't said that. I mean, he's right, but we have not said that. We're excited. Hell, we're 2 weeks away from Georgia football. We got to be excited, right? You're not going to be like, oh, Georgia's playing again in 2 weeks. Come on.
But if the Georgia Bulldogs are not in the discussion of being a national championship contender, there's a problem. So I think maybe that's
what are we doing?
Exactly. I think that's probably maybe what Austin was referring to. But yeah, that's the thing. If Georgia's not in the talk, if Georgia's not one of these top schools, then something needs to change. But yeah, I mean, Georgia has as good a shot as any team to win the national championship. So that's.
But I will go back to what it was Austin that said that. Who posted that? You got to show me on the field. I'm that way with the Bama game.
I'm that way with the receiver group.
Absolutely that way with. I'm picking Bama to beat us until they don't.
Well, we're beating Bama this year.
Me. Yeah. Okay, I'm glad, but I am picking Bama to beat us until Georgia shows me.
Otherwise. I understand. I'm with you. I'm just going to be the.
I've been bitten too many times saying we're going to beat Bama. Sorry.
We're just M. Charles, I want Bobo to have the quarterback under center, not in the gun with 1 yard to go this year. Hey, to be honest, I think that's what this offense is reverting back to. Carson Beck
with a
fullback.
With a fullback back there.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
You got to have somebody clean the hole out. You got to have somebody to clean the hole out, and that's why they run. If they do not run a fullback, I don't want them in under shot or under center. I want them in shotgun, because if there's no fullback to clean the hole, the running back's he's kind of screwed in that. So that's
where a Bo Walker or Josh McCray should be. Those big guys, maybe Roderick Robinson playing that fullback position, right?
Okay, and sort of like, what's up with Roderick Robinson?
Micah Morris.
Yeah,
I mean, just to me, if we have to have a fullback to go under center, then
You always
I wouldn't go that far because we saw Georgia win a championship going under center without a fullback.
Yeah,
I just want to see Georgia under center only for
Jalen Carter.
But
Was,
at times they used him.
they did, yeah.
Jalen
Mostly
Carter,
on goal line.
Yeah, it was awesome. God,
Yeah,
so
true.
Carter. But
Mostly-
I want if we're under center for fourth and one, bring in a big guy. Let like somebody wrote Michael Morris. Why not?
Well, and it just makes it. And what's different about like when we talk about under center versus shotgun, it makes it going under center makes it all the more difficult on a defense.
It does
to stop the run because now you're not limited in terms of if you're in shotgun and the running back's to the quarterback's right, you're probably leaning he's going to the left. The running's going to the left. But when you're under center, it can go to the left, it can go to the right, go to the outside, go to the left outside, you go up the center. Like they're having to guess. Yeah. And at that point, you can kind of play to wherever the weakness point of the defense is. If they got 3 guys over here and the rest of them over here on the left, then hey, you're probably going where you have the numbers advantage. So in terms of not just with 1 yard to go, Gunnar Stockton, we already saw it in the bowl game. Gunnar Stockton is probably comfortable in the play action passing game, rolling out, doing stuff like that. We saw Mike Bobo kind of tip his hand on that. It was something they did a lot with Stetson. It wasn't something they did as much with Carson because Carson's a guy that is elite in the pocket. This is a guy you want there in the pocket, chest up, facing the defense so he can read the defense. With Gunnar, he might be more comfortable going under center and rolling out and using his athleticism to try and find the edge or to dish it out to one of his guys in space. Another one. Tennessee wins the Natty in the preseason. I don't know. With Blurgate, I don't know if you'd say they're that confident.
Yeah. Well, another thing, and if you throw the fullback out, what we were just talking about, the thing that Gunnar gives you is reading that end, right? Where he can actually keep the ball and run around that end. We didn't have that option last year, right? I mean, I know he's going to run some RPO, but I'm talking in a short yardage situation. He can pull that ball back and read that end and run around the end, and Gunnar's going to pick up the first down. We didn't have that option.
I wish there was a stat for how many times the free backside end from the opposite play side ends up making the tackle on a Georgia run play. I would love to see the statistics for it and compare it to years past because, like you said, Eddie.
Well, they just sold out on it last year. They sold out.
They knew the quarterback.
There was no threat.
No.
Yeah. Which I think also is a for 2 years, which I think is also a point of contention in terms of like because when Carson did pull it down and run, he'd make a play. Like it was a good play, but it just they never seemed to have the comfort or the confidence to even have him pull an RP or pull a read option.
But it was never around the edge.
No,
it was always kind of up the middle, right? And something kind of opened up and he just run through. That's what I'm saying. Gunnar gives you that edge option.
And that's what I was watching some clips of with Stetson, won the back-to-back national championships. A lot of those he would pull and he would loop around the defensive end and just leave them in their dust and then shake them. And the South Carolina game, God, he made that guy look stupid. He faked in and went out. I mean, that's not a knock on Carson Beck. How many guys can do that? I mean, what Stetson could run like a 4 or 5, right? Like a legit 4 or 5 or something. I mean, that's so. Yeah, I think this gives us a shot. Like this gives us some of those where the defensive end cannot crash down. He's going to have to stay home, and that way he can read the end. And so,
good point here from Fred F. You're right. They didn't have problems running the ball. Now it did dry up a little bit versus Alabama. In 2023 versus Alabama, it kind of did. They kind of did slump down on it. But you're correct. They were still to be effective in the run game. But I think simply you also talk about the O-line underperforming in 24. I know I've seen it. People are, it's excuses. Like injuries happen to everybody. I think it's a major part of why they underperformed. And as people have already told us, who was it? Was it Monroe Freeling in the spring that said, hey, there's a little bit of complacency among the leaders, among the seniors in that room. And we heard Drew Bobo talk about it. There's a little bit more cohesion. Mike Bobo hinted at it. We need cohesion at that group. It's great. You have 4 talented players up front, all fine and dandy. You have 4 NFL draft picks, but if they don't play together. They don't play together as one. Cool. You just have 4 good individual players.
And not to mention the wide receivers. I was just going to say the wide receivers are dropping passes. So then they can just crash in and focus on the run. So, you're not having to double guys. So
how many games was Tate Ratledge out? Forgive me. I can't remember. Was it 3, 4?
Gosh, it was
Well, whatever. 3 games. That's a starting NFL lineman that was out for us for 3 to 4 games. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then you got other starters playing hurt.
Yeah,
you got other guys playing.
I'm just
playing
saying,
hurt
but
who
that's the
haven't
glaring one to me. There was no cohesion, and everybody just says, "Well, the offensive line had problems this year." Yeah, they were hurt. Okay, I mean that's a big deal. It's not an excuse. That's reality. That's what happened. You got to have. I keep going back. The Falcons, when they made their Super Bowl run, the line was intact the entire year.
Yep,
that's a big deal. And look at Georgia's line when they won national championships. The line was basically intact the whole year. That's huge. You got to have that. It's luck. Part of it's luck.
it is 100%. Yeah.
And it also came down in those other years. Georgia had a lot of depth. I mean, they had guys stepping up. I mean, I think about it.
Yeah, that's true.
In 21, which I don't think you're going to see that much depth anymore going forward.
Yeah.
Like you're going to have to get adjusted to the new ways. Like this is it. This is the way college football's going. But in those years, you're talking about when you talk about the offensive line, like yeah, they were healthy predominantly throughout that year. But you had a Broderick Jones coming off the bench.
Yeah,
I mean. That was a big adjustment in the national championship. They had Broderick Jones at left tackle in that game.
Yeah, they brought Jamari Salyer inside.
And the guard. Yeah. Like Georgia.
Like 5-star, 5-star. And then the second team, 5-star, 5-star, 5-star. That's not happening again.
But you could have a scenario where you do, like, say, a Juan Gaston.
Yeah.
You have Juan Gaston starting, at some point this year. And then, hey, maybe there's a Michael Unai or Daniel Calhoun that are coming off the bench and say, hey, we need to rotate these guys in here. We need to get them on the field because they make us better. Like, that's the type of depth it's going to take to win at a high level in college football today. Gentlemen, we've touched on the offense. We've exhausted it. Let's talk about the defense because to me, right now, I think coming into fall camp, I expected the defense to kind of kick some butt and be a little bit ahead.
Yeah.
Right now, from all indications, it's been the offense this week that got the better of the defense. Where are we at on the defense? Are we concerned? Are we, or as y'all said, is this kind of right where you expected it to be?
Well, Eddie, I'll ask you. The defensive line, you're hearing some things like it's playing well, but then this week you kind of heard, well, it didn't play as well. So is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because I think we all agree that everything is built defensive line out. So I think I might be a little concerned about the defensive line. I do think the DBs are going to be good. And like if everything, Ellis Robinson, you're saying he may get the start, so he might be that guy that he was supposed to be. But I don't know, the defensive line, I'm a little concerned about it because you're not hearing, oh, he's that guy. And I don't know that Jalen Carter's strapping it up again. So.
Yeah, well, we keep hearing about Elijah Griffin, do we not? And we keep hearing about is it Han? I don't want to mispronounce his name. Is it Han or Han A? The overseas transfer, JJ Han. He's wearing the blue helmet.
JJ Hayne. I think it's Hayne.
Is it Hayne? Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry, JJ.
No, you're good. I believe it's Hayne.
Okay, JJ Hayne. And Andy, this goes back to what I started the show with. I love that the offense dominated this week. Kirby's got 2 weeks to get in the defensive head and say, what the hell happened at practice, guys? You guys got dominated. Go out there and dominate Marshall. Let's work to this, and they're going to make some flashes up front. I just have all the confidence in the world. Agboko, is that right? I may be screwing his name up too, but he's starting to show some stuff. So that, again, these are these young kids that are starting to push Kristen Miller. They're starting to push Q. They're starting to push these other guys that are ahead of them. They're only going to make them better. That was my big concern, Andy, as we talked about a few weeks ago. I'm getting less and less concerned. I just am.
Yeah. I would really like to hear, oh, this guy. I keep going back.
But we heard that in the first scrimmage, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying when Jalen Carter, there were reports that Jalen Carter, if he in practice, they would say if he decided he wasn't getting blocked, you couldn't block him. Like the offensive line, they were like, yeah, this guy's just unstable. Like there's nothing.
But I think we're hearing that a little bit about Elijah Griffin.
We're hearing that a little bit, but but we also with Jalen Carter, you didn't have Jordan Davis and Devonta White. You didn't have those guys, Nolan Smith. Right. So he had all that. But no, I'm with you.
Kirby tempers that with those young kids. He just does. He'll say, oh, he's doing okay, but he's behind. He's fat or whatever. He'll do that on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think last week's, not this past week, but the week before, I think that was really the deal. After the first scrimmage, it just felt like Kirby came in there with the goal of, hey, I'm going to downplay everything.
Yeah.
That's the takeaway I had from that press conference. And I think when you talk to other people who were in the room and listened to it, I think that was the takeaway, was he was on a mission to just play defense, to just temper the expectations for his team. Eddie, I think you bring up a good point with the defensive line. And Andy, you kind of touched on it too here. I don't know if Georgia has a great player on its defensive line, but I do think it has a lot of good ones. I think they're deep in the sense, I think they're going to have a lot of contributors playing up front. I think it's almost going to resemble some of the early Kirby Smart defensive lines where you don't have a Jalen Carter or a Jordan Davis, but you have a Malik Herring, you have a Tyler Clark, some of those guys who were just really good players. Yeah,
but Elijah Griffin may be that guy. Like
Elijah Griffin may be that guy.
Like, I mean, a lot of people are saying he's too good to keep off the field, and if he is too good to keep off the field, maybe he is that guy. Because Christian Miller, what is he now, a junior? So he's been here 3 or 4 years. So it's like, if Elijah Griffin is that guy, then you got him beside Jordan Hall and all the other guys. Maybe you do have that. Maybe he is that stud defensive tackle that we need.
But I think we also got to get out of the mindset of those generational players, which was Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. Okay,
Yeah.
Those are generational, once in a decade type of players. Elijah Griffin may be that. We don't know. I'm not going to say that he is, but that's okay. I think if you have the way Kirby rotates these guys in and they're fresh, offensive linemen hate that. And that's what he's going to do. Okay, he's going to continually rotate these really good players in. Yeah, you don't have the great player, but you have these good players that are making plays and causing havoc on the defense. That's fine. Okay. And like you said, Andy, I think we're stronger on the back end than we have been in a while.
I think so too. I do think we are on the back
end. That's big.
Yeah, but I know Kirby Smart, and I know how I feel about how football should be in you as well. Like it starts on that defensive line. So I do think we need.
We're not even talking about the middle part of that.
Linebackers,
the linebackers may be the best in the country. Okay,
Harrison, what are you hearing
in the country?
Yeah. I'm really curious. I can't wait for them to get yes, they play Marshall. They play some cupcake games early on. I want to see them when it's their first test. I want to see them on the road at Tennessee because I'm curious. You talk about having to get players on the field.
Yeah.
How the heck do you get a Justin Williams, a Chris Cole, a CJ Allen, a Raylan Will? Like, how do you get all these guys on the field? That's my big question. I'm curious to see how they do it because in 21, you had just a generational linebacker room. They were playing, in some instances, they were playing Quay Walker, Channing Tindall, and Nakobe Dean all on the field at the same time. Georgia's bear front that year was insane because they had 2 inside linebackers who could go play off the edge. I'm wondering if Georgia's going to try to do something similar this year. I don't know if it's going to look exactly the same because Chris Cole's so good in passing coverage, covering a tight end where, hey, you probably don't want him rushing the pass. You maybe want, hey, go get that tight end over there and stick with him. Go run with him. Go make plays. Like, I'm excited to see how they deploy these guys because you have your stalwarts in CJ Allen and Raylan Wilson, but you have 2 young guys behind them that are getting ready to take on that full-time role here in the next year or so that you're going to have to get on the field this year because they can make your defense better.
Chris Cole's a name that, keeps getting brought up a lot. And he's one, a lot of people are talking about him. And like, do we have a Nakobe Dean though? That's the question. Do we have that guy? Is that guy on the field right now?
That's supposed to be CJ Allen, is it not?
Maybe. I don't know.
I feel pretty good about CJ Allen and Raylan Wilson. I especially feel really good about CJ Allen. I think CJ is going to be really good for Georgia this year.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already flashed the ability to be a sideline-to-sideline tackler. I mean, I'm excited about him and what his future looks like for Georgia. I mean, he's already been a really good player. I think he can take that next step.
That's, I guess, my question. Can he go from where he's – because, again, I was watching clips yesterday. Nakobe Dean was all over the field. That guy was just – God, he was so good. So that's what I'm wondering, if we have a guy that can take that next step and be that guy, the Jarvis Jones type player, something like that. So
I think that's where the question comes is when you go look back at 21, and I hate to keep going back to that team because it's going to be something that's really, really hard to replicate. But when you go look at what the difference was that year, not only did Georgia have really good players up on its front and Trayvon Walker, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Devontae Wyatt, Nolan Smith, the list goes on and on. But those inside linebackers, I mean, specifically Nakobe Dean, when you talk about getting after the quarterback from inside the A-gap, I mean, sending Nakobe Dean on these pressures, that was where he made his money. I mean, you go look back at the Clemson game, one of the first sacks of that season was Nakobe Dean getting through the A-gap, past the center, bending around that center, and going to get DJ. Can these linebackers do that?
But why is that? Because of what happened at the zero tech and there on out. Those guys are completely tying those guys up, and the linebackers are free to roam.
A 375-pound defensive tackle just taking out the 3 dudes. But like Austin Wilson, that's what he wrote. Dean was super smart. He diagnosed the plays, and that's the thing. He was a coach on the field. He was that good. He was. Again,
that's what I was getting at.
We're talking about generational guys, and I know I can't get past not having them, but we had so many generational guys on that defense, and it's hard to get. And I did see a comment from Randy Payne. I know we've already kind of touched on the offense, but he said the number 2 and the 3 running back. So that is an interesting topic. And
yeah, that may have flipped from what we talked about, right?
Because we thought Roderick Robinson was going to be the 2, providing he was healthy. We thought McCray, the transfer from Illinois or from Syracuse, was going to be the 2 providing he was healthy. Is he not? Yeah, they're both. It seems like they're both behind. So and a lot of
Well, I don't know that Roderick's behind, but I'm just not hearing Harrison. Maybe you are. I'm not hearing much about Roderick. I'm hearing more about Dylan Bell
and Dwight Phillips is a guy.
That's right, Peanut. Right. I mean,
you know, somebody made this point in the press room last week after Kirby spoke. He said, sometimes it's just like I assume when I'm not hearing about somebody, it's a good thing. Just as much as hearing about a guy could be a good thing.
That was Brandon Adams. Brandon Adams says that a lot on Dog Nation. I'm tout somebody else, but yeah, he says that. Yeah.
Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's not a bad thing. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I'm Roger Robertson's one of those guys. I mean, I remember everyone used to call it the Dejan Death March, you know, in those 2 years where he would just come in and just be such a pain to bring down. Roger Robinson in his time doing that showed he could be a pain to bring down. And I mean, that's the one thing Georgia really missed last year is they didn't really have a true power back. I mean, because Roderick was down. Branson went down with an injury. Georgia didn't really have that. And I think this year they're hoping they have that. They're hoping Josh McCray can kind of be that a little bit. They're hoping Roderick Robinson can be that. Like, the running back room does have guys. It has bodies. But can they just stay healthy? Because I think that's been the biggest issue among every position on the team over the last few years. The running backs just haven't been healthy for a full season. So, hitting Rob Rod would be like hitting a Mack truck. He looks like he is solid muscle. Yeah. There's a lot that we want to see in these first few weeks of the season. I know the first 2 games, in terms of the 2 quarters that your starters are going to play, like, hey, you want to see those guys flash and go be quick and get up early on these guys? Because God forbid, I don't know if I want to do game 1 where the dog vent is just losing its mind because of a first.
Well, the dog vent's going to lose its mind no matter what happens. If we win 50-0, it's going to lose its mind, right?
I just don't want to hear the word slow start. All right, I don't want to hear it. So it better not be a damn slow start.
Well, last year we had the.
You're going to hear it from me, not just the dog vent, right?
We had the starters in last year at through the third quarter last year. So I mean, they like you were saying, Eddie, that they've got to go blow this team out. They've got to do that to kind of say,
take care of business. Don't do the Kent State 39-21 game where losing their shit.
No.
Brock Bowers, he ran reverse. Yeah, that was crazy. And I mean,
gentlemen, we just went 43 minutes on our only first segment, so we got to kick it into gear. People came here for the scrimmage. Let's switch gears. Let's get on to our second segment. Let's talk some Georgia high school football. We are no longer in hypotheticals. We are in the actual now in terms of football being played. Andy, you put together some scores, not only from here around the local area, but also from surrounding the state. So, gentlemen, let's talk about these games. Andy, I know you wanted to kind of run through these scores, and then we just kind of want to give our thoughts on kind of what we saw throughout the weekend.
Well, let's do it. So, try to look at the teams closest to Athens, basically. But Clark Central, they ended up beating Cedar Shoals 13-12. So that's a big win for Clark Central and David Perno and all those guys. Oglethorpe County, they lost to Social Circle 37-6. So it may be a long season for those guys. But how about North Oconee? North Oconee beat Oconee County 41-0. And it is so crazy to me being, sort of local here. Is like Oconee County was sort of a powerhouse back in the day. And then all of a sudden, North Oconee, they opened the school. Next thing you know, they're basically this college atmosphere. So they killed them. Of course, me being here in Franklin County, Hart County played Elbert County. There's just always a big rivalry around here. And Hart County beat them 51-20. So those are two teams that always kill Franklin County. But then you have Banks County. They're right down the hall or down the street, and they played East Hall. They beat them 42-21. And then, of course, the game that I think most of everybody in America watched on ESPN2 was Buford. They opened up their $62 million stadium, and they beat Milton 20-13. Did you guys get to see that on TV the other night?
Yeah, I did. I watched it. Yeah.
Eddie, my takeaway aside from Buford having one heck of a game, one way to start a season is I don't know if I've ever seen a helmet pop off one player's head as much as I did Davis Baker that night.
That was incredible.
That was wild.
That was just insane. Was that 4 times at least that his helmet?
Somebody told me it was 7, which I was like, really? Was it really 7?
Yes.
Yeah, I just at some
a game that close, it may have cost him the game because that kid was really good, but he had the kid coming off the field, right?
And didn't the kid that came off didn't his backup come in and throw a pick on one of the 2 drives that he came in? First play?
Sure did.
So yeah, I mean, you're right. Yeah, I just that was my wondering, but I say that, but I also do want to give Davis Baker props. I didn't know what to expect. I saw him in the scrimmage versus Cambridge, and obviously it wasn't 1-for-1. Like you didn't know exactly what they're going to do because it is just a scrimmage. But I mean that kid played his heart out. I mean he left it all on the field versus Buford. Had an incredible game. Transferred from St. Thomas Aquinas and went to a program that had won 2 back-to-back national titles, and he's taking over a group that has to replace a lot of guys. And heck, he fought his tail off last night, and so did that Milton team. Props to them.
Yeah. I thought they were going to come back right at the end. I thought they were going to come back and tie it up. So
they had their chances.
Can you please put M. Charles' comment on the screen? That last comment M. Charles put up. Georgia Tech is so envious of Buford Stadium. That's hilarious.
That is true. That is very true. But you can see the Atlanta skyline. Isn't that beautiful behind their stadium?
Yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, you see the Atlanta skyline, and then you see the empty seats. Sometimes.
Yeah, that's right. Well, or the opposing team in their seats, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'll just go through the Corky Kell, which was yesterday, and Harrison, you were there. I'll kick it to you in a second, but Douglas County beat North Gwinnett 21-7. McEachern, 50, Walton 17, and then Houston County 31, Brookwood 24. So Harrison, you were at these games, and I just want to get your thoughts on the day and what impressed you the most out of these games.
Well, I'll start here. Second time being in the Benz, second time being down on the field. Now this was for more than just 15 or the hour I got pregame for the SC Championship before they kick us off because warm-ups in. Wow. I mean, it's incredible. I know I've sat in those seats before, and I've seen man, there really is no bad seat in the house. But I mean, just quite an incredible atmosphere, and I wanted to start there. Just incredible. I mean, it is. Somebody called it the Mecca of the South for football. It feels like it. I tell you that. Yeah. It's incredible. Now, as for the games that are played. I'm going to start here, and I know because we talked about it pre-show. Casey Barner. That's, for me, going to be an individual performance.
Kid from McEachern.
From McEachern. I don't know if I'm ever going to forget that. I don't know if I'm ever going to see anybody top that. I mean, Eddie, you talked about it pre-show. This isn't 1A football. This isn't some small-time football that he was playing. He was playing at the highest classification of Georgia high school football, and he dominated.
Yeah, just to tell you guys what Harrison's talking about. This young man had 341 all-purpose yards.
That's wild.
3 touchdowns.
He's the starting. And most of them were for a touchdown. He's a starting, I guess, strong safety, I'll call it, kind of thing. He's mainly a defensive player, but he runs back punts, kickoffs, and he plays on offense as well. And he's a sophomore.
Yeah, that's what's wild. When I saw those,
He's
clips,
dominated.
that guy looked like a man. He looked like a guy ready for college. He looked that good.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know who's going to be able to top that. I've seen my share of games over the last year. I was like, man, that's probably the best individual performance. I asked somebody who's been doing recruiting longer than me. He said it was probably a top 2 or 3 performance in terms of individual performance that he's seen.
Really?
Incredible performance from Casey Barner. That is a 2028 name to know. Probably going to be recruited by just about anybody at this rate.
Now he will.
Yeah. So
Harrison, I want to ask you a question about these games. Was review in place for these games at the Dome, or is that strictly reserved for the state championships? Do you know? I hate to put you on the spot like that.
I don't believe there was a single review on any of those games.
Yeah, so
there were some calls,
not in play. Yeah.
There were some calls that I'm like, ooh, that probably should get reviewed, but none of them were. So I don't believe any were reviewed.
That tells me they weren't, okay? But GHSA needs to get their head out of their butts for these games, okay? And they need to get this right, because that Houston County Brookwood game, Brookwood ended up losing the football game, but there were 2 egregious calls against Brookwood. And even the announcers, Matt Stewart, who does a great job, was like, I don't understand that call. The first one, Brookwood scored on a touchdown on a kickoff return, and a Brookwood player's helmet came off because Houston County hit him in the face, and his helmet came off, and they called a penalty. That's not a penalty. The call is the player's supposed to go off the field of his helmet. Now, if he takes it off, that's a penalty, right? So they called that a penalty, and they pulled 7 points off. The second one was there. Brookwood scored on a slot play. Okay, a guy went over the middle and caught a touchdown pass, and they called illegal touching. Now, explain that one to me. Illegal touching, that means the quarterback was out of bounds or the slot receiver was out of bounds of someone. How is that possible in the middle of the football field? That's ridiculous. They've got to get these calls right. I know the referees do the best they can, but if they have the ability to review these plays in the Dome like that, especially in the state championship, they need to do that. I thought that was ridiculous, and it cost these kids the opportunity to win that football game.
Supposed to have it muted.
Sorry, my old man rant there.
You're good. You're good. I just pulled this up. This is how Houston County won the game. I mean, with 4 seconds to go, they ran a little wheel route right here in the flat. I mean,
he's wide open. Just a great play. Yeah.
Wide open. Tremendous play. It was a great game, guys. I mean, that was by far the best game of the day. And somebody told me
Brookwood had 14 points taken off the board. And even, like I said, Matt Stewart's like, I don't understand that. We don't understand why that call wasn't even made. And I even tweeted to him about it. He's like, we have no idea. They never explained it. So they got to get that.
That was another takeaway. There was a lot of laundry on the field, especially in that first game, that Houston County game. It felt like there was flags being thrown every 2 or 3 plays, which contributes to these games running rather long. I thought it was a little bit better in the Walton game, but then that Walton game turned into a pure beatdown.
Yeah.
And that game was over basically at halftime, and that third quarter dragged. That was a long game, but congrats to Casey Barner and McEachern. Congrats to Houston County. Well played by Brookwood. I mean, Jordan Tyson, guys, talk about running backs in this state. There's an Andrew Beard. There's a Jordan Tyson. Both are different backs. Man,
Andrew Beard.
I felt so bad for people having to tackle Brayton Tyson. So bad. He's going to run you over or you're going to bounce off him. There ain't no 2 ways about it. Tremendous game by him. Talking about another top performer from the weekend. It's great to have football back.
Tyreek Green looked good. Tyreek Green looked good for Buford, Georgia commit. He looked really
playing
good.
both ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was just, gentlemen, as I drove home yesterday and the brief rain there was, my takeaway was, man, it's so great to be able to say I watched football all day Saturday for the most part. Like,
no doubt.
And it was high school football, but hey, it won't be long until college football is what you're watching all day long.
I went to middle school football on Thursday, and it was fun just to be at the football field. My nephew plays, and it was good to be there to watch it.
We don't need an update on that, though, Andy. We don't.
Well, Franklin County got housed by Stevens County.
Okay. Oh well.
But it was fun.
Sorry, Andy.
It was fun.
Yeah.
And the nachos were good, so it worked out well. So.
Nachos, interesting. Nachos. I don't know if I would ever try after having to indulge middle school nachos myself. I don't know if I'd try them again.
What, dude? I go to get nachos and a hot dog. Come on, come on? What
The
are you doing?
the hot dog is respected. You can't mess up a hot dog, but I've had some messed up nachos before.
It's good. It was good to go.
Gentlemen, high school football, college football. Let's go to pro football. Dogs in the NFL. Andy, this is what y'all call it. This is dog tracks, is what y'all called it.
You call it dog tracks. That's what we called it. We can call it whatever. Dogs in the NFL. But I looked up to see what the guys did in their, in the preseason games, and how can you not start with the 2-time national champion quarterback Stetson Bennett? He sucks. He's got a pop gun arm. Blah blah blah. Dude won 2 national championships, and this week he went 28 for 40 with 324 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, and he had 2 rushes for 4 yards. Now, with all the stuff that he had going on last year or whatever the year before, and come back and do that, who knows what he's going to do? Is Matthew Stafford going to be healthy, or Stetson Bennett? Could he be the guy? How cool would that be to see Stetson Bennett to be the starting quarterback?
Y'all know that Stetson Bennett leads. It's preseason, but he leads all quarterbacks with 500 yards and 5 TDs.
Yeah,
all of them.
Yeah,
and you can't tell me right now Jimmy Garoppolo is a better option at number 2 than Stetson Bennett. And you're right, Andy. If Matthew Stafford has a back issue the first week, Sean McVay is going to play Stetson Bennett. The guy is an absolute gamer. That throw he made, he made a couple throws, and I'll give a shout out to our friend Coach Hayes. He did a breakdown of that throw he made down the seam for the touchdown. Mm-hmm. He threw it in a window about that big. It was the most beautiful play I've ever seen. And Stetson is an absolute baller. For all those saying that Georgia would have been better off in that 2-year run if they had an elite quarterback, they had an elite quarterback, and it was Stetson Bennett.
They definitely had an elite quarterback. Also, the Cleveland Browns, they played Philadelphia Eagles. They beat them 22-13, but Smile London clearly had to go to the Eagles because that's what they do. They get all Georgia players. Smile London he had 5 total tackles, which were all 5 solo tackles, and he had 1 tackle for a loss. So that's a big game for Smile London. I mean, these dogs are showing up in the NFL. And let's go up to New York Giants. They beat the New York Jets 31-12, but Arian Smith playing for the Jets, he had 2 catches for 39 yards. So pretty good weekend for the dogs in the NFL this week. So,
hey, I think there's going to be some folks that are wondering why Arian Smith's on a 53-man roster. But folks, I think people have been trying to tell you for a little bit, that guy can play. And not only can he play, obviously, with his speed, but he contributes on special teams. He contributes in the run game as a blocker. He's not just a willing blocker. He goes out there and tries his damnedest to go play. When you talk about playing, giving it his all, he certainly gave it his all at Georgia, and I expect we'll see the same over in the NFL. Gentlemen, let's transition over to the Falcons because this is the Peach State Power Hour. I know they finished up their satellite or whatever you want to call it, joint practices with the Titans with the game on, what was that, Friday? Yeah. Guilty as charged, didn't watch the game on Friday. Was watching high school football. But here's my thing. And I think I'm the lone man on the fence here. And this is where I wish we had Paul, because maybe Paul's with me on this. I don't care about starters playing in preseason. Honestly, to me, I'd rather they not, because I've seen so many teams basically wash their season down a toilet because their starting quarterback went down in preseason or somebody important. So, and here's my thing. Before Eddie rips me to shreds, before we even get to the Brave segment, Andy, we might need you to have some pom-poms and agree on both sides here.
Okay.
Here's my thing, Eddie. College football does it. College football players get ready for their season with no preseason. They go through fall camp and they get ready to go play. And the first game, legitimate game, is week 1. I'm not buying into, because the NFL has more time to have OTAs, to have all this and that. You can get ready for the season without having to play in a preseason game. Like, college football shows it. But I know there's history here at the Falcons and slow starts, especially under Arthur Smith. But I don't care about it. I don't. I would rather see them healthy than, hey, they got a 1 or 2 drives versus the vanilla Tennessee Titans offense. Or defense. Sorry. Now, Eddie, rip me to shreds. I'm asking for it, but here we go.
All right, Harrison, you seem like a nice young man, but you're an idiot. Okay. It's ridiculous. So I keep going back to this. The Cincinnati Bengals with Joe Burrow, they've had slow starts the past couple of years in the first game. So what did they do this year to resolve that issue? They played Joe Burrow last week.
Yeah.
They played him. Now, it was maybe a series, 2 series, whatever. You get them out there in live time action in a real quote-unquote football game before you go out there. And this all flipped. I keep going back to it. The third game, when we had 4 preseason games, the third game was the tune-up game. Okay? And they'd play literally through the third quarter to get things right. That's all completely gone. And I wouldn't care, Harrison, if it was like, I'll just say Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has been in the league for longer than I've been alive, it seems like. Okay? He doesn't need preseason snaps. Michael Penix needs preseason snaps. He's played 3 games as a starter in the NFL. He needs to get that timing down. He needs to be in the football game, not cutting it up with a clipboard on the sideline. I'm sorry. Do y'all know who has the most snaps of all the rookies and the new kids on the team this year for the Falcons? Do y'all know the answer to that?
No.
It's James Pierce.
Oh, yeah.
He has the most snaps of all those young guys. And I'll boil it down to this. I think James Pierce has told the coaches, put me in. I want to play. Now, I'm not saying Jalen Walker didn't say that. They may have said with his hamstring, we're not going to let you play as much, and that's fine. But James Pierce wants to be out there getting better, and they're playing him. So explain to me, Harrison, why they're afraid of Penix getting hurt, but they're not afraid of James Pierce getting hurt, because the same damn thing could happen to him, and he's a big part of their defense, right? So what you're saying makes no sense to me.
I guess here's my thing. The quarterback position.
Laughing at me. I can hear it. Yeah.
I'm with you, though. I agree with you. I agree.
Go ahead, Harrison. Go ahead.
Season-ending quarterback injury is more detrimental to a team. Maybe not so much the Falcons this year because you do have a Kirk Cousins. You probably have the best backup quarterback situation in football this year.
Yeah.
But losing your starting quarterback is much more detrimental than losing your rookie defensive end in my book. Now I get it. All injuries suck. All of them. All right.
I want to ask you this though: why have the preseason if you're not going to play these guys? Because
exactly. Just cancel.
I'm with you.
They're full price tickets on top of it all.
Yeah,
I'm with you. Crap.
I don't disagree there.
Just don't have the preseason because it's pointless. When you got your rivals are going out there and they're letting their guys play and getting that cohesion we were talking about with the Dogs offensive line, it's like they need to be cohesive. Well, shoot, you can't do it in the NFL if they're not playing. So let's say the Saints, they're probably getting their guys. I don't know what all they're playing, but what if the Saints are doing it and Carolina playing their starters and then the Falcons are just like, screw it, we'll play these guys that aren't even going to make the roster. What's the point of having the games? Just cancel them, start week 1, and go with it.
So I want to throw this out before we move on. Could this be coming from Arthur Blank? And I think it is, and here's why. Because y'all know D. Orlando Ledbetter, who covers the Falcons with the AJC, is fantastic. He said this week in an interview that I listened to that the thought of not playing the starters is not coming from someone who has a football mind. So who is that?
That would be the owner.
That's exactly right. It is coming from Arthur Blank. I think Raheem Morris wants to play these guys. I think Terry Fontenot wants to play these guys. And I think Arthur Blank is so scared of these injuries, he said no. And whatever he said, he's the god. And that really bothered me when I heard D. Orlando said that. Really
I'm with you. I think I think he's sort of handcuffing what the coaches and the staff.
Absolutely.
But
you know what? And I'm not saying Raheem Morris is not the guy. I don't know yet. But if Bill Belichick was the coach and Arthur Blank told him that, what would Bill Belichick say?
Screw you, buddy. Fire me. If you fire me or let me do my job.
I'm playing these guys because they need some experience.
Yeah.
Right. But Harrison would be the yes guy, and he'd be like, okay, Arthur, whatever you say, I'm not going to play the guys because we don't want to get hurt.
I'm going to tell you, if he's paying me $3, $4, $5 million a year, I'll do what he wants me to do too. So he can.
Heck, yeah. I mean, as long as it's legal. Yeah. Fred F with some nice praise here.
That's a great guy. Fred F knows. He knows.
We appreciate that. There's a lot of great shows over on the UGA Sports umbrella. There's a ton of them. Personally, Film Don't Lie is one of my favorite. Brent Rollins does tremendous jobs. The Overreaction Show with our good friend Paul Meharry, I guess now our rival. Paul Meharry does a great job with that show, the Call-In Show. That is obviously brought to us by y'all, the callers. And then there is the UJ Sports Live with the legend himself, Coach Donnan. They do a tremendous job. And then there's the watch along. The watch along every Saturday in season. You can catch that. Lot to come over here on the UJ Sports YouTube channel. Gentlemen, let's get into our fifth and final segment. I don't know how we got here.
Yes.
In an hour and 5 minutes, but we are here. Let's talk about the Braves. Eddie, I know you've been watching high school football. You told us 2 weeks ago that once high school football was on, the Braves are off your television.
He's lied. He lied to you. He's still.
How many games have you watched of the Braves over the last week or so?
I'll flip it around. You know, I'm exaggerating. I'm still watching them, not like Andy is from start to finish because he's an idiot. But you know, I'll just flip it around. Okay, great. They've been playing better. It's fool's gold. Here's my concern. What have they won? 5 in a row?
5 in a row.
Right?
And
they're 9.5 back in the wild card with like 6 teams in front of them.
Yeah.
They may continue this streak. Michael Harris is playing like an MVP caliber player. Whoopie freaking do. My concern is that we continue this. We're not going to make the playoffs. That's ridiculous.
No, they're not. They're not.
Okay? We're going to go home, and the Braves may get back to 500. What a run they went on. And management tells us all, well, guys, after the All-Star break, we did a great job. We're just going to run it back. We don't need to make any moves. We're not going to spend any money. We'll just bring the band back. We're good to go. That's my concern.
I'm with you on that concern. But here's the thing. The truth of the matter is this core that this team currently has is this core. There's nothing you can do about it. You're not getting rid of Riley and Olsen and Murphy and Harris and Acuna.
But I could see him saying we're just going to keep Nick Allen as shortstop because he's cheap and we're good. We don't need to get another shortstop.
I don't think they're going to.
I'm talking about.
I don't think they'll do that.
Really?
I think they're going because Marcelo Zuna is going to be gone. There's some money coming from there, and I mean I think there's going to be some changes.
Are we sure about that?
Yeah, or he's coming back cheap. Right. He might come back cheap. He ain't coming back.
There you go. That's the problem. That's what they're going to do. Go ahead.
And I just got an alert. The Braves swept the Guardians, so take that, Eddie. But yeah, but I mean, but let's look at this though. Michael Harrison, I'm with you. He's been terrible for the first half, but his second half numbers. This was as of.
It's not half. It's not half. Okay.
I get it, but the second half after the All-Star break, whatever. But his numbers have been great. I'm going to play the glasses half full type because I know they're running it back with this core guys. So we got to have these guys to be good. So I'm looking forward to this Michael Harris with that new batting stance and all that stuff. I'm looking forward to him next year with a healthy Ronald Acuna, with a healthy Matt Olson, a healthy Austin Riley. Maybe they can do something.
And Olson hadn't been hurt. He's been healthy all year. What are you talking about?
He was hurt last year, but I'm saying,
year.
No, but he's had a decent year this year. But that's what I'm saying. I mean, he's had a decent year. But Hurston Waldrop, he's been up. He's had 3 games. He's 3-0 with a 1.02 ERA.
But don't go down this Joey Wentz road with me and say, he's going to be our 5th starter. Joey's been great. Come on. That's what they'll do.
But you may be right. But I do think – I mean, I'm with you. I do think they're going to try to run it back mostly. But I do think there will be some changes. I'm just going to be happy they're winning some ball games. And they beat them too.
I'm not disappointed that they're winning ball games, but I just don't want it to be fool's gold. That's what
I'm with you. But I mean, we're currently playing spoilers. That's what we're playing. So we took the Mets out.
We did that to the Mets. That was awesome.
They got them coming up this weekend. They got a 3-game series with them in Atlanta. Dude, what if we take 2 or 3 and basically shut them out of the playoffs? I mean, it sucks.
That would be awesome. That's all we're playing for.
Gotta see the glass half full, dude. So.
No, sorry.
All right. Here's kind of my expectations, and this goes back to the start of the year. My understanding was, and this was documented, I believe, articles and tweets. My understanding was, and I'm not saying this is right by any means. I still disagree with how much they put into this team. They didn't put much into it. Spoiler alert. My understanding was they stayed under the luxury tax this year to reset that penalty.
Yep.
Now, they did that from what we understood so they could go out and spend money. Now, where's that money going to be spent? Is it going to be spent by committing further to your current core, or are you going to go add to this core? Because I think we're all on the same page. You should not be spending more money on this core because this core is not good enough to win.
Right.
We all understand that. You have to go make additions. And here's the other point. If they do tear it down and rebuild, which I don't think they're going to do, I think even Eddie and Andy, who we disagree on that, they're not going to do it. When they do it, it won't be with this general manager. It won't be with this manager. It's going to be a new guy. It will be a new people in there doing that. Now, here's my thing. And I don't like how they did it this year. I don't like how they basically just threw this season away. They have to spend money. We can all agree on that. They have to. You have to go get a long-term option at shortstop. You have to. You have to do that. All right.
We got to figure out second base too.
Yeah, you got to figure out what you're doing with Ozzie. You have to figure out what you're doing with your pitching core that has been more hurt than I've ever seen. You have to figure out what the hell you're going to do in your bullpen because you can't have high leverage relievers bleeding runs.
Who's going to be the closer? That's the thing. We got to have a closer.
Well, see, and that goes back to the bullpen. Aaron Bummer's been pitching pretty well lately.
Yeah, he got the win today.
Yeah, I know. But overall, Aaron Bummer's been terrible.
He has.
And he's been playing well this year so far.
He's been a bummer.
He's been a bummer. But the past couple of weeks, he's been good. So that's what I'm saying. They're going to come back to us next season and say, don't you remember how good Bummer was down the stretch? We'll just bring him back. That's my concern.
Does Hurston Waldrop move into a closer role?
Oh, good God. Andy, why would you put that out in the universe?
I hadn't even thought about that. I don't know that I'd want him to do that, Andy. I think he's looking really – he looks like a starter to me.
Maybe he is. I don't know. But I don't know. That I wouldn't be surprised if he moved into the pen as a closer.
Well, let me ask you this because here's my question. I am very concerned. I think they're going to go spend money on the bullpen. I feel confident they will do that. Now, whether those guys turn out to be good or not is one question, is another question. But here's my concern, Eddie and Andy. What are they doing with the starting rotation? Are they just going to come back and run it back with, hey, these guys were hurt. We're going to run it back now that they're healthy. Or are they actually going to go get some insurance options? To me, that's where I'm most afraid in terms of, we're going to go run it back because these guys weren't healthy. Because they did it a year ago. I feel like they can do it again.
I would hope their eyes have been open to Spencer Strider. Case in point, Spencer Strider had this brace surgery, and we all thought he'd be back to normal, and he's really struggled, right? So how can you just run it back? I mean, he was dominating before his surgeries, right? Just dominating MLB. He's not the same pitcher. Now, maybe a year away from now, he becomes that dominant pitcher, but we don't know. We just don't know. And he's one injury away on that elbow from career-ending stuff. Yeah. Right.
And I think they see this year as a throwaway for him. And I think they're expecting him next year to be fully healthy and back to where he was.
But that's the thing, Andy. I mean, he feels a little tweak next year. It's like I said, it's over.
Well, I was against.
Then we might go through the same thing again with Ronaldo Lopez now that he's been gone.
Exactly right. Right. But Ronaldo, I think Ronaldo comes back to the bullpen when he's.
Well, so he could be the closer. So I actually think that Ronaldo is going to be the closer, and I think Waldrop would be like the fifth starter. But I just think that I just extend there for 90 minutes. No, I agree. I do. I think that Ronaldo Lopez is going to the pen, but and Waldrop I think will stick as a starter. But I think Waldrop has. I think he has closer stuff. So
wow, I've never even thought about that. That's interesting, Andy.
Well, I mean, they were talking about when they first brought Ronaldo in that first season, it was like, okay, the plan is he's going to start to eat up innings at the beginning part of this year. Then once the rotation gets healthy, he goes into the bullpen. Then he turns out to be one of your best starters. You can't move him.
Don't you think Lara's going to come up next year and compete for that closer role?
Maybe
Giancarlo Lara. I mean,
I just wonder if they would see, and it's possible. Maybe it's him and Ronaldo are kind of seeing who's going to be the 8th and 9th guy.
That's the cheap option I'm talking about. Just bring a guy up from the minors and bring him in. I'm not saying that's wrong, but that's cheap, right? And that's what this organization is. They're cheap.
Well, Eddie, they'll probably do that, and then they'll go extend. They'll go give Schwellenbach, who I'm not hating on Schwellenbach at all. I love what he's done this year when he's been healthy. they're going to go give him a 10-year extension like they did Strider, and then they'll bring up that cheap option. Oh, hey, look, we spent our money.
Well, I don't think they'll give him an extension with that broken elbow. I think they'll wait to see how that plays out. So, and again, though, we're talking about Ronaldo Lopez, though. I wonder if they would end up trading him. I mean, he's a possibility. I don't know if anybody would take him, but he's got, God, next year he's making $14 million. So who's going to take that?
Here's another thing. We're talking about pitching and all this. I think they're going to go get bullpen arms at the very least. I'm kind of with Eddie on this. I could see them running it back on offense because I really do, because I'm sitting here thinking, okay, the only way they don't run it back on this offense is if they do decide, hey, let's cash in on whatever trade value Sean Murphy has and go spend that money somewhere else on another bat. Because right now, it feels to me they're going to say, okay, bye-bye Marcell Ozuna. Hey, Sean Murphy, you and Drake Baldwin will platoon catcher and DH. When you're not starting that catcher, you're going to be your DH. So what the heck are they going to add on the, at
a shortstop?
Yeah.
They're going to get a shortstop. Yeah.
And they need that. They really do. And they probably have to address second base too. But I'm just getting nervous. I'm like, man, we're talking about a team that didn't want to spend money this past year, having to spend a crap ton of it to fill a lot of holes.
Yeah.
Something's going to be sacrificed, which to that point, it's kind of like, man, maybe they do keep a Nick Allen. And maybe they say, hey, we'll give Ozzy one more chance because he's good for the locker room.
Well, I just want to throw this out there. Monday night, I was down there with my 21-year-old son buying shots, and I was helping Terry McGurk buy the next team. So come on. I did my part. Did y'all do your part?
Hey, I'm a stock owner, dude, so I'm doing my part.
So am I. So am I.
Hey, I'm pretty sure Frank the Tank owns a piece of a stock in the Atlanta Braves. That was one of the barstool pranks on them. They bought him a stock in the Braves.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. That's
the only person associated with the New York Mets that owned the Braves back in the day.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'd like to see Ozzy do some flips while he's catching balls.
Hey, don't talk about that because I think Charlie Culberson was playing with the Bananas not too long ago, so they'll probably bring him back at some point.
That's right. That's right.
So, yes, as Benny Edmondson says, 2 weeks, time to let big dogs eat.
Hey, we got football next week, guys. So it's coming. We're here.
Hey, new addition to the show. Just right off the bat. Just sitting here thinking about it. Let's do it. I'm gonna pull up 2 games from next week, and I'm putting both of you on the spot. I'm gonna give you the line, and I'm gonna have you just predict who to cover or not to cover. All right, we'll start with. Hold on. Let's make sure I have all the games pulled up. This is just all hot off the press. I was sitting here thinking about it. We'll start with the game out in Dublin, Ireland. Oof. We have Kansas State, Iowa State. Kansas State is a 3-point favorite. Who are we taking in this game, gentlemen?
I'll take K-State. I mean, I'll take K-State.
I'll take Iowa State because of Dave Archer. I love that guy. He's an Iowa State Cyclone, and I'm going to take Iowa State every time.
Here we go. This is an interesting line. Stanford goes on the road to Hawaii in a kickoff that is at 7:30 on CBS. Hawaii is a 2.5-point favorite.
Yes. Give me Hawaii. I'll take you that's a long trip. And I know they're in California, but that's a long trip. So I'll take Hawaii. Yes.
Yeah, and Stanford's really been struggling lately.
Yeah, they've sucked.
They've been really not good. And I don't know if Hawaii's playing in it this year, but they had a thing about Hawaii's new stadium they're building out there. Have y'all seen the pictures of that?
TC Siding
Holy cow. Just gorgeous. I mean, unbelievable. Yeah, give me Hawaii. I agree with you.
I'll take Hawaii.
All right. Well, there you go. We
will
hang track
before we let I'm gonna throw this at you guys. Week 1 has a ton of big games. Not including the Texas Ohio State game. What game are you most looking forward to? And I'll throw mine out there. Syracuse at Tennessee. That could be tricky for Tennessee. They're breaking a new quarterback. That may be a little tricky. So that could be a tricky game. So
I'll tell you the one I'm interested in, and y'all are going to laugh at me. I think Tech Colorado's kind of.
Oh, I'm interested in that.
Tech's heard a lot about how they're kind of the babe, the boy this year in the ACC. Colorado's garbage now. They lost all their starters. They're going out to Colorado to play that. I'm very interested to see how that game plays out.
Me too.
Look, for me, I'm really curious to see Utah, UCLA. Nico out in UCLA, making his debut
Yeah.
with UCLA. UCLA hasn't been very good over the last few years. Then you have a Utah team who is coming off a down year. Probably in terms of expectations, they're used to being near the top of their conference and competing. They weren't that last year in terms of competing for a Big 12 title. Can they go out and take care of business in week 1 against a team that has not been great over the last few years? That's an 11 o'clock kick, gentlemen. Yeah. That is an 11 o'clock kick. Colorado State, Washington's an 11 o'clock kick. And then Hawaii and Arizona are a 10:30 kick. A little Pac-12 after dark, or what used to be Pac-12 after dark. Another one. Now, this is because I have friends that go to school here. ECU, NC State. I believe that's on Thursday. ECU beat NC State in the bowl game last year. And apparently that's a rivalry between the two schools, even though NC State has been dominant in that. If you want maybe a testy game that could be competitive, that'll be one to watch. And yes, before we wrap it up, I saw this. Is S. Eddie that calls into the Bill Shanks radio show. Yes, this is the world-renowned, Georgia-renowned. He's not world-renowned, not yet. Maybe world-renowned for his age, as Andy would say.
He's getting
Eddie from
Acworth. I'm surprised
Acworth.
you can't tell by my voice. I mean, isn't that kind of a giveaway?
Hey, we don't have your music, which is the problem. If we had your music, everybody would know who you are.
Yeah, when I call Bill Shanks, he plays the Mr. Ed theme song. It's ridiculous. But yes, it is me. Thank you, Richard, for listening.
Yeah, absolutely. Richard, I'd be curious. How'd you find us? How'd you find us over here in the Peach State Power Hour? Maybe it's from all of the promotions our good friend Eddie does over on the show when he does call in. Man, we got to get, maybe when Eddie handles the in-state radio, maybe it's time we get Andy Stowe to handle the Paul Feinbaum, the national radio promotion for the Peach State Power Hour. Let's get Andy over there on the Paul Feinbaum show. Let's go invade.
I'll see what I can do.
Paul Feinbaum show.
And how about
I've called Paul Feinbaum before. I've gotten on the air before. It's a long wait. That's the problem.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad called one time. I mean, he got on the air one time just because he wanted to do it. He would always watch Feinbaum. So yeah, he called and got on there. So
Richard, we appreciate you for finding us. That's awesome. Welcome to the show. We are live every Sunday at 7:30. If you enjoyed this edition of the Peach State Power Hour, go back to last week. We got Aaron Murray on the show, the Georgia legend himself. Fantastic 30-minute interview with Aaron Murray. That was awesome. I mean, gave us a whole lot to think about with this Georgia team. Fantastic stuff. With that being said, gentlemen, I'm closing out the show for the final Sunday of until February, where there's not football on at the end of the week. I know college football is starting up this Saturday, but in just a few short weeks, we're going to be competing with NFL kickoff of their primetime games over here in just a few short weeks. Over here,
everybody wants to talk about the Dogs. That's okay.
Yeah. It's all right. Yeah. We'll retain all of our diehards. But anyways, that's Andy Stowe. That's Eddie from Acworth. I'm Harrison Reno. We'll be back next week live at 7:30 over here on the UJ Sports YouTube channel.